A life story about Johnson, the owner of an expensive restaurant in the city centre. The man had achieved everything himself and now, relaxing on the shores of the Mediterranean Sea, enjoyed the feeling of accomplishment. But only one incident changed everything, when the head of the family suddenly became sharply uncomfortable. The rich man's daughter called her father via video link, and after learning that he had made a will, she went to his restaurant as a dishwasher. The way she was received shocked. Welcome back to Tales Tracks. I am excited to share a new story with you. Let's get started. Johnson was lounging in a deck chair, leisurely sipping a Cuba Libre cocktail and gazing at the setting sun. A tense week had come to an end, and the upcoming weekend promised at least a bit of rest. However, running his own business was a demanding affair, often without regulated time off. Thus, he intended to fully savour this warm evening, the scent of juniper bushes, and the unique spectacle of the smoky pink sunset. He was relaxing with a sense of having diligently completed his work, enjoying a well-deserved pleasant pause, and the recent stabilisation of life's many twists and turns. He had nearly everything a self-sufficient and energetic man in his early 50s could desire. A stable and profitable restaurant, a cosy large house, a grown-up and successful daughter, a beloved woman, and these precious evening hours of leisurely contemplation, which provided both calm and energy for the days ahead. Soon, Ava was supposed to call. They usually called each other around this time. How was she doing abroad, not having seen her home in so many years? Ava was a source of immense paternal pride. She was only 10 when her mother died, and Johnson had to face a torrent of problems. He came to fully believe the saying that troubles never come alone, as everything seemed to collapse at once. As years-long, painful illness, followed by her passing, a bewildered and helpless 10-year-old in his and fierce battles with competitors who saw his personal misfortunes as an opportunity to encroach on his business. He overcame it all with a cold fury, channeling his profound grief from the irreplaceable loss into determination. When it seemed he would break from the strain, things began to slowly settle, and he felt like a surfer who had finally caught the most capricious and unpredictable wave. She didn't out to be a smart, resilient daughter. She didn't break down, didn't withdraw, but quickly pulled herself together and decided to help her father navigate life's challenges. So, it was her victory too, and they celebrated it. They took a week-long trip to Rimini, enjoying the gentle waves of the Adriatic Sea, wandering around Piazza Cava, and the Italy in Miniature Park. Ava laughed joyfully and carefreely, as a child her age should, diving endlessly into the clear water and demanding to be taken to the dolphinarium every day, where she could never get enough of the agile and intelligent sea creatures. She calmly accepted their subsequent financial ascent. She didn't rush to nightclubs and discos, was interested in her father's business, and was fully determined to become his right hand. However, Johnson wanted her to broaden her horizons, and despite Ava's strong resistance, he insisted that she enroll in a sex university. The separation was difficult, the distance unfamiliar, but he firmly believed that a girl with Ava's potential needed to explore various fields, and so it happened. Before even receiving her diploma, the capable and energetic student was offered an interesting and promising job. Thus, his Ava, who intended to work for a month or two after graduation, had been working in a sex city for 4 years, fully engaged in the process and busy with her career. Ava was so immersed in her work that she hadn't been able to take a vacation and visit home even once. Thankfully, with modern video calls, he could still see how his brilliant and beautiful daughter was growing and blossoming, and they could discuss any topic. A melodic ringtone interrupted Johnson's thoughts. It was Ava. "Hi, Daddy. How are you?" "I'm fine, my dear." Johnson smiled softly. "I'm sitting by the house, watching the sunset, waiting for your call. And here it is. How are you, my beautiful girl?" "I'm good too, Dad. I hope to get a vacation in a couple of months and make you happy with my visit. You'll be glad, right?" Ava grinned mischievously. You tease your old father, little rascal. How could you even ask such a question? Well, you never know. Maya is an interesting woman, energetic and versatile. She probably keeps you from being bored. I never thought you were jealous. But you know, it's not a bad thing. Listen to him, Ava snorted, and then their conversation shifted to another topic. After talking to his daughter, Johnson fell into a bit of contemplation. He recalled his first meeting with Maya at the Vernissage Salon during a modern art exhibition. After a new financial upswing, he had taken a serious interest in art and began actively visiting salons and exhibitions, gradually building his own small gallery. They both stopped at the Painting Queen Zenobia, done in the rare technique of layering tiny pieces of coloured paper instead of brush strokes, impressive in its beauty and uniqueness. A very interesting technique, isn't it? Mia had addressed him. Yes, agreed Johnson. It's hard to imagine the diligence and sense of colour required to create such works. Their conversation flowed easily, and they continued through the exhibition together. The new acquaintance turned out to be smart, witty, knowledgeable about painting, and, importantly, quite attractive. The visit to the exhibition smoothly transitioned into a visit to a restaurant, and Johnson found himself wanting to see this woman again. Maya was also open to it, and after 6 months of dating, they began living together. At that time, Johnson felt like he had grown wings. Everything had fallen into place, a beautiful and pleasant woman. A sense of emptiness due to Ava's absence, the desire to realise his financial and life potential, not just for himself. All these things aligned perfectly. Johnson didn't even object when Maya asked if her 2 adult sons could move in with them. Although in their early 20s, she considered them at a crucial age, needing supervision, and wasn't willing to let them navigate life's challenges alone. This argument was decisive in her request for a couple of rooms in the house for them. The house-struck man did not object. The house was big, there was plenty of space, and wandering through empty rooms was boring. Energetic, active, understanding, always occupied with something, polite and communicative in conversation, and undemanding in daily life, they did not cause any discomfort, quite the opposite. One way or another, Johnson felt like the head of a somewhat eclectic but friendly family again, dispelled any gloom, and returned to his work with the renewed enthusiasm of a suddenly rejuvenated man with a sense of purpose. What could be better than lounging in a deck chair, savouring a delicious cocktail after a hard day's work, and knowing that you are loved, needed, and important to someone? It was immensely pleasant and comforting for Johnson, so much so that he even dozed off, not noticing as a woman approached the table, replaced his glass, and took away the unfinished cocktail and the plate of salty biscuits. Ava, on the other hand, couldn't sleep. She had decided to go to bed early to wake up easily for work in the morning, but sleep eluded her. There were no objective reasons for this. Her health and work were fine. It was a pity she hadn't met this woman and her sons, but her father spoke highly of them. It seemed her father was deeply in love. This was good. He had endured so much after her mother's death, devoting himself entirely to Ava. So it was great that he was no longer alone and had found new meaning in life. But why, then, did a nagging worm of unease twist in her stomach and prevent her from finding peace? Could it be that she was jealous of her father's new partner? That was ridiculous. She wasn't a child and understood that a man needed a woman by his side, and Mia seemed like a good person. So where did these inexplicable bouts of anxiety come from every time she talked to her father? There was no explanation. She needed to count elephants and sheep to fall asleep. 1 elephant, 2 sheep, 3 elephants. At the 322nd mark, Ava was engulfed in a fitful, uneasy sleep, only to be awakened in the early morning by a sudden phone call. "Hello!" "Dad, what's wrong? Where are you?" "In the hospital. Suspected heart attack." "How?" "You are feeling fine in the evening." "A will." "Dad, have you lost your mind?" "What will?" "Why would you be dying?" "Just in case." "Dad, Don't be silly, I'm catching the next flight. Work, but I have only one father. Hang in there, I'm heading to the airport. After ending the call, Ava hurriedly packed her things. Her anxiety hadn't been unfounded. It turned out her father had a suspected heart attack and was in the hospital. She needed to get there quickly. Her father was in trouble. When was the next flight? Johnson lay in a comfortable private room, doing his best to reassure his worried daughter. Ava, sweetie, calm down. Everything is almost normal now. The heart attack wasn't confirmed, and I'm on the mend. Everything will be fine. The doctors will fix me up. Dad, you've never complained about your heart. Did I miss something recently? No, you didn't miss anything. Everything seemed normal. But illness sometimes strikes without warning. It doesn't have to notify us. Dad, was anyone home when you felt unwell? The doctor said that if it had been any longer, it could have... No, there was no one. I called the ambulance myself. I don't even know how I managed. Usually, you wait, hoping it will pass on its own, but this time I was scared for some reason. Turns out it was for good reason. But it's okay, they got here in time. Thank God. All right, Dad, you rest now, and I'll go talk to your doctor, Ava said, tucking the blanket around her father's bed. Get some strength, and I'll come back in the morning. Johnson nodded in agreement, and Ava, kissing her father on the cheek, headed to the doctor's office. Valerie, I need to speak with you privately about my father's condition. Are there any details you haven't mentioned in his presence? You have good intuition, Ava. The doctor carefully removed his glasses and rubbed the bridge of his nose. There are some details. When your father was admitted, the symptoms of his attack reminded me of a atropine overdose, which I've encountered in my practice before. I sent his blood for testing. The analysis confirmed the presence of fairly high doses of atropine, but your father categorically denies taking any medications. What could this mean? Ava asked slowly, already sensing the answer. It means that somehow this substance entered his body and nearly caused serious harm. I can't conceal this regrettable fact, the doctor concluded. I thought as much, Ava responded, her voice heavy with foreboding. Sometimes bad premonitions are justified. Ava drove away from the hospital deep in thought. Who could want her father dead? Who did he cross? Competitors? Unlikely. They have more reliable and efficient methods, such as a hired professional with a weapon, leaving no chances. Poison in food. This smacks of something domestic. Anna, the long-standing cook, was out of the question. She was practically family, impossible to bribe or intimidate. She had no one but her father and Ava. When did this inexplicable anxiety first appear? It surfaced after her father's acquaintance with Maya. Maybe it was time to take a closer look at this extraordinary woman. But she needed to do it in a way that Maya wouldn't suspect who was watching her. At the same time, she should observe her children, whom she insisted on keeping close by. Lost in thought, Ava found herself at the door of her father's restaurant and decisively pushed it open. "Good afternoon. Do you have any job openings?" she asked the administrator. "I need to stay in this town for a while and earn my... Do you have qualifications as a cook or confectioner?" the administrator asked sternly. "Then, unfortunately, only a dishwasher position is available. If that suits you," the administrator noted, eyeing Ava's well-groomed appearance. "That'll do," Ava assured her. "I don't have time for a lengthy job search." "Then start tomorrow at 8. Arrive a bit early. Our boss is strict." "Boss?" The unfamiliar word cut into Ava's ears. Is Maya the boss now? Since when did she assume my father's position? She thought angrily but controlled herself and replied softly, of course. "I'll be on time." The next day, Ava eagerly awaited Mia's arrival. Afraid that she might be recognized from photos in her father's house, Ava removed all her makeup and wrapped her hair in a silk scarf styled as a turban. When her father's partner arrived at the restaurant, Ava, with her head bowed low, was loading plates into the dishwasher. "Mia, this is the new girl. The administrator introduced her. "What's with the masquerade?" Maya pointed at the sky-blue turban. "It's to keep hair from falling on the dishes," Ava replied, lowering her head even further. "A simple headscarf would suffice," Mia sniffed, squinting disapprovingly. "There's no one here to impress. I expect the dishes to be perfectly clean," she added, moving further into the restaurant, barking orders and criticizing staff. It seems she already feels like the complete owner, thought Ava, unloading sparkling plate. Some sweet woman indeed. I wonder if my father ever saw her like this. Unlikely. She's very cunning and seems to be quite the actress. With my father, she's probably always been as sweet as pie. By lunchtime, Mia's sons also made their appearance in the restaurant. They also behaved confidently, as if they owned the place, poking their noses into everything and even meddling with the restaurant's cash register. Ava, gritting her teeth, struggled to restrain herself from exposing these brazen intruders and throwing them out of her father's restaurant. But she couldn't act hastily. Her father was still the owner, and he knew nothing about the atropine or the true nature of his chosen partner. At the moment, there were no facts, just emotions. She had to be patient and wait for a chance to expose these charlatans for what they were. Ava no longer had any doubt that the wonderful woman with an interest in art and her sons were ordinary swindlers after her father's wealth. However, she had to inform her father about the poisoning so he could be cautious with any treats brought by Maya. The next day, taking advantage of a free morning, Ava called Valerie and then headed to see her father. They entered the room together. Johnson was already awake, scrolling through the latest news on his phone. "Good morning. How are you feeling?" the doctor inquired. "Practically an astronaut," joked Johnson. "Ready for a space launch." "Well, let's hold off on that," Valerie replied, measuring his pulse and blood pressure. "But overall, you're doing quite well. No dizziness?" "Not really. But is there cause for concern?" "Well, let me put it tactfully. I'm somewhat worried about your safety. The fact is, we found a foreign substance, atropine, in your blood, which caused the attack. There's reason to believe it didn't enter your body by accident. I need to report." Johnson said nothing, falling into deep thought. The doctor nodded to Ava and quietly left the room, leaving father and daughter alone. "Dad," Ava sat on her father's bed. "Dad, don't be silent." "I can't even imagine what to say right now," Johnson said slowly. "To accept this means acknowledging that there is a criminal among the people close to me. Someone who tried to take my life." "Dad," Ava tried to speak as gently as possible. "Sometimes people aren't what they seem to be." "What do you mean?" "Please don't be angry. I found out about the atropine right away and, not wanting to jump to conclusions, decided to get to know Maya secretly. Dad, I got a job as a dishwasher at your restaurant. There, Maya is considered the rightful owner. She behaves accordingly. If it weren't for your stories, I would never have thought that words like tactful, gentle, and charming could be used to describe her. She's rude to the staff, overly critical, and often unfair. Her sons don't hold back either, acting like they own the place, even pocketing money from the register. I don't like any of this, Dad. Ava, sweetie, why would she poison me? We're not married. She wouldn't get anything. And if she's harsh, it's because she doesn't know the restaurant business. Inexperienced managers often overcompensate. That's not an argument. Well, by your logic, it would be more beneficial for me to poison you, Ava frowned. I'm your lawful heir. But I didn't do it, Dad. Are you all going crazy here? Johnson exclaimed, sitting up abruptly. What does this have to do with... Nothing, Ava replied. I just want to say that there may be motives we're unaware of. We need to inform the police, and in the meantime, I'll continue working at the restaurant and observing this situation. Please, only eat what I bring you. It's just a precaution. Has Maya brought you anything? Just some fruit. I've been ordering meals from the cafe downstairs. They have quite a decent kitchen for such a place. I'll replace the fruit with mine. Ava said decisively, opening the refrigerator. "And please, throw away anything she brings without hesitation." "All right, as you wish," Johnson agreed. "I think I need to rest. This news has my head spinning." "Rest, Dad." Ava kissed her father's cheek tenderly. "We'll sort everything out." The shift at the restaurant brought nothing new. Mia continued with her authoritative and imperious tone, creating an atmosphere of tension among the staff, who were afraid of displeasing her. Ava's conviction that her father's beloved was not who she pretended to be only grew stronger. Shortly before the end of her shift, her phone rang. Hesitating slightly, Ava answered the unfamiliar number. A confident male voice was, "Ava, good evening. This is Lieutenant Noah. I need to speak with you and ask a few questions." "All right. I finish work in 40 minutes. Please come to the restaurant's George, then we can talk." "What's with all the pleasantries?" Mia appeared silently. "You're here to work, not to chat with your suitors. Get back to the dishwasher. One more slip-up, and you'll be earning your keep elsewhere. I need to be as cautious as the rest of the staff. I can't afford to be thrown out until I figure this out," Ava thought as she put away the clean dishes. After her shift, Ava found Lieutenant Noah waiting for her in a silver car parked outside the restaurant. Without beating around the bush, he asked her thoughts about her father's attack and listened to her insights. Lieutenant summarize. "You did the right thing by getting a job at the restaurant. With the suspect nearby, something interesting might come up. It's too soon for us to intervene. We could scare them off. Your father is safe in the hospital, and we'll keep an eye on those three. We'll also investigate other possible angles. Have you been to your house yet?" "No, how could I? I'd have to reveal my presence." "What are you looking for in the house?" "Well, if they are indeed criminals, they might have already taken some valuables from the house. Since they've made such a move, it means either their plan is going smoothly or there was a mistake, and they gave a higher dose than intended. Do you have anyone at home who could let you in discreetly?" "Yes, Anna, our cook. She's practically family. I think I can rely on her." "Great. Try that and keep me informed. Agreed?" "Agreed, Lieutenant." Ava squinted. "Just call me Noah," he laughed, looking suddenly like a mischievous boy. Without delay, Ava called the cook that evening. "Anna, my dear, this is Ava. Yes, I'm in the country, but please don't tell anyone. There's more to my father's illness than it seems. I'm sorry, I can't say more. I need a huge favor. I need to get into the house without anyone noticing. Can you help me?" "Yes, I have a free day tomorrow. You're a lifesaver, Anna." The next day, the elderly but very stately woman drove out of the gates of the large mansion, telling the guard she was going shopping. A few blocks away, Ava slipped into the car and immediately hugged her tightly. "How's that for a secret agent?" Anna Yannikna asked, looking at Ava with love. "I can't believe my eyes. Do you drive yourself?" "Yes, I learned 3 years ago. It was terrifying, but as you can see, it came in handy. I somehow knew I had to overcome that fear. Mia is not home now and probably won't be until evening. Her son's only come to sleep. So, slide into the back seat, and when we get close to the house, get down on the floor. I'll drive up to the kitchen exit and distract any staff if they show up. You do what you need to. Honestly, I never liked that syrupy sweet family. What did Johnson see in them? They are so fake, and their niceness is cloying. But love blinds, as they say. Are you settled? Then let's go." Their plan went off without a hitch. Sneaking into the house, Ava was momentarily overwhelmed by emotions. It had been so long since she was last here. It felt like an eternity. Here were the beloved and familiar walls, which now, by a strange twist of fate, concealed danger. She needed to focus. Emotions aside, someone could appear in the house at any moment. At first glance, everything in the rooms seemed unchanged. Ava headed to her father's study. There was a safe with the most valuable items from her father's collection that he did not want to display publicly. Indeed, why should everyone know he owned several Fabergé bouquets, an 18th century sapphire necklace, and an antique Kubachi dagger? This was not modern art. This was art tested by time. Ava found the key in its hidden spot, entered the code, and opened the safe. As she suspected, it was empty. Her father couldn't have moved the valuables elsewhere. So she had been right, and she needed to continue her investigation. In the gallery, there were signs of careful theft. Large canvases remained, probably to avoid drawing attention, but smaller, easily transportable items were gone. The Meissen porcelain was missing, as was the Netsu collection. They were thieves, true treasure. That's why they stuck together. It made their operations easier. A criminal family, pretending to be art lovers to gain trust, only to crudely and blatantly steal. It was time to leave. She had seen enough. Anna would go on a forgotten errand, and Ava would get out. She needed to call Noah immediately. Lieutenant rubbed his chin thoughtfully as he sat behind the wheel of his car. "This is serious," he said slowly, "but it's not surprising. People don't just get poisoned with deadly substances for no reason. You know what? We should tell them that their father is getting discharged. That should make them nervous and prompt them to act. Just the missing valuables aren't evidence right now. They'll probably claim they've been robbed and file a report themselves. Can your father tell Maya of discharge?" "I think he can. I just haven't decided whether to tell him about the theft yet. I can't imagine how he would take it. Gauge the situation. In the end, talk to the doctor if you think he's not ready. Let the doctor..." "All right, I'll assess the situation," Ava replied and decisively grabbed the car door handle. Johnson greeted his daughter in good spirits. His health had improved and, unaccustomed to inactivity, he was ready to ask the doctor for his discharge. But Ava steered the conversation in a different direction. "Dad, some things have come to light. You should tell Maya that you're getting discharged, but don't actually process the discharge yet. I know you care deeply, but things aren't that simple. And it's not just about them taking over the restaurant. I was in the gallery yesterday and noticed some things missing. A police lieutenant suggested we release the information about your discharge to flush out the thief. I'm not Dad, but the situation is serious and needs to be clarified." Johnson sat heavily on the bed, losing all his previous cheerfulness in an instant. Is Sappho gone too? Sappho was his favourite painting. Ava understood her father. She herself had often stood transfixed before the canvas, where a girl in a light, translucent tunic stood with a parchment scroll in her hand, slightly turned away from the viewer. An ancient portico emerged from the mist in the background, and around the girl, a whole swarm of butterflies swirled in a colourful, shimmering blizzard as light as poetic stanzas. What captivated this painting was unclear, seemingly nothing special in its individual parts, but as a whole it was filled with a certain lightness and an indescribable, but clearly felt mysteriousness of a poem being born. How the artist achieved this effect was impossible to understand, just as it was impossible to walk. Ava hurried to reassure her father. "Don't worry, your favourite is safe. Its large size saved it. The thief was afraid to attract too much attention. Smaller paintings are gone, as they were easier to transport. So, will you tell Maya the false news?" "Tell what?" "Oh, the false information. Yes, of course, I'll do it. Are you safe, my dear? It seems we've got a serious situation on our hands. So far, no one knows that your dear daughter has already stuck her nose into this matter, so don't worry. I'm heading to the restaurant now, and you call Maya. Let's see what happens." Upon arriving at the restaurant, Ava immediately noticed the uneasy tone in Mia's voice. Clearly, something had her rattled. Looks like Dad already called. "I need to stay alert," Ava thought as she peered into the hall from the small window of her room. About 2 hours later, Mia's eldest son entered the restaurant and quickly headed toward his mother. Ignoring her duties, Ava quietly slipped out behind him, trying to remain unnoticed. From the office, muffled voices could be heard. Ava sneaked into the storeroom, where she could discreetly crack open the door to Maya's office, and turned on her phone's recording function. "We need to move quickly," an agitated male voice said. "If he gets out of that hospital today or tomorrow, we're screwed. We should have cut our losses when Kirpich messed up the dose and he almost died. But no, you were too greedy, thinking we could take over his business. The jewels and paintings are worth a lot. We could have made do. But now what? Run to Yvonne? Don't jinx it, Sloan. We have a day or two. The documents are ready. The signature is forged. We'll try to sell the business tomorrow and get out with a full package. When will we get another fool like him? I'm not a young girl anymore, falling in love with everyone. And you turned out to be spineless. Kirpich is riskier than you. Kirpich is still a rookie, hasn't done any time. And you, Queen, have been lucky so far. I did a couple of years. My skin's more sensitive. It's not just smelling burnt now. It's reeking. Your greed has scrambled your brains." Ava couldn't listen anymore. She sent the recording to Noah and quietly slipped back to her workstation unnoticed. The tense waiting game began. Tossing and turning all night, Ava headed to her father in the morning. There was nothing left for her to do at the restaurant, and solitude was unbearable. With Valerie's permission, she took her father for a walk in the small forest near the hospital. They strolled, enjoying the clear air and birdsong, trying not to think about what was happening at home, but reality soon intruded. Ava's phone vibrated, displaying Noah's name on the screen. "Yes, I'm listening. I'm with my father. The doctor allowed us to take a walk." "Any news?" Ava's face grew serious as she listened intently to Noah's lengthy explanation. "What's going on?" Johnson asked impatiently when the call ended. "The police did a good job," Ava said deliberately. "There was a search at our house. They found forged documents for the sale of your entire business, even an expertly forged signature. Mia and her sons are not a family. They are a criminal gang already known for similar scams involving antiques. But here, their greed got the better of them. They decided to take over your business as well, planning to poison you slowly. They miscalculated the dose, and instead of gradually losing your health and dying quietly, leaving them with at least half the business, you ended up in the hospital and ruined their plans. Now they are giving statements at the station. The police will search for the stolen valuables, but it's unclear what they'll be able to recover." "Valuables? My most precious treasure is you, Ava," Johnson said, hugging his daughter tightly and kissing the top of her head. "I named you Golden for a reason. Don't leave your old father alone anymore. He tends to make big mistakes out of loneliness." "I'll never leave you," Ava said, her eyes moist as she looked up at him. "You know I've always been interested in your life's work. Now I intend to take it seriously. I've had the idea to open restaurants specializing in different national cuisines. Which one should we start with?" Georgian, Johnson laughed. "It might not be the trendiest, but it's the tastiest and most "I love it too," Ava smiled, burying her nose in her father's strong shoulder.